We were in the number 4 position. So element of 3, lead ship, element of 3 down below them, supposedly 50 foot down and 50 foot back. The lead ship got hit and exploded. It must have hit the bomb rack or something, because the whole airplane just flew apart right in front of us. And we went right through it and never got any parts of us on our aircraft.
And obviously all those men would be killed.
All 10 of them were gone instantly, yeah. And one time going up the Adriatic Sea, one of the aircraft somewhere up in front of us, not in our lead formation. The pilots generally would swap off every 10 minutes, or depending on whatever they decided. One guy would fly 10 minutes, the other guy would fly 10 minutes. So the pilot and the co-pilot would swap back and forth. And evidently when they decided to do that, the one on the right-hand side, the aircraft on the right-hand side, just moved over and hit into the other aircraft that was next to them. And it took the wing off of the aircraft that moved all the way down into the Adriatic. And the other one dropped out of formation and kept going down, 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 and just one parachute out of it. But then we went past it and couldn't see it anymore. We don't know whether there were 9 other parachutes or they just got the aircraft under control and flew back home. Don't know. First mission was, of course, to Budapest, and the target was pretty well destroyed on that. And second mission was to North Italy to a railroad bridge. There was no flak, didn't have any enemy resistance whatsoever. 24 aircraft, just one group, and I think this mission we got 3 bombs on the target. They were 500-pounders, and it took the bridge out. It was pretty well destroyed with 3 bombs. And we plowed up a bunch of fields for the farmers so they didn't have to plow anymore, and came back home. And the third mission was another railroad bridge in Hungary. And there again, there was no flak, and nothing else. And another mission was to Munich, railroad yards. And if I remember correctly, it was in the western part of the city. And there we began to have a little guys shooting at us. And we had not many flak holes in the aircraft at that one, but those little black puffs out there were always there. You could not hear the anti-aircraft exploding because of the engine noise that we had. But if it was really close, you could feel a little shudder of the aircraft. And you might hear some noise as if it were rain hitting on a window or something like that. That would be that part of it.
That would be the shrapnel.
That was the shrapnel from the 88s. The 88 puffs were black. And then there, on occasion, there would be some 120s, and their puffs were pink.
Like light pink or pink pink?
Pink, pink. Yeah, pink. But they were a bigger shell. And then we flew a mission to an oil field in North Germany. And that was one place where they had a lot of anti-aircraft. and the oil fields, and they were also producing oil or lubricants out of coal. Now, I'd never heard of it, but anyway, that's what they were doing. Graz, G-R-A-Z, that was one that wasn't too good. And my worst one, besides the last one.
Could you tell us about the mission to Graz, please?
I don't really remember, except it was a lot of flak. And that was one place where shrapnel came through the side of the aircraft where I was and hit the navigator's flak vest and went out the other side. I was standing there and it went right by. I didn't see it, of course, but anyway, it went by and hit my navigator's flak vest and went outside. And the pilot, co-pilot, it went through his flying suit and went past the pilot and went out the side window out there. But my worst one was Vienna. We were to bomb the Vienna South Ordnance Depot. Now that's not just a building, it's several buildings, perhaps a quarter of a mile wide and a mile and a half or maybe 2 miles long. And the whole 15th Air Force was on this one, approximately 800 aircraft. We were briefed on the target one day, and we went down to the aircraft, prepped it, made sure that we were ready to go, and I had a stand out. There was weather over the target. Okay, that day we went in, and they pulled the curtain back. There's that line going up. Next day we went back, opened the curtains up. There's that line going up. Oops, same target, Vienna South Ordnance Depot. And the third day we went in there, we had a stand down on that one too, weather over the target. We didn't have radar in the aircraft. And there's that line going from Pantanella up and across and then back down. And when they pulled that curtain back, every one of us went, ugh. They knew we were coming. They saw us. They knew we were going to be there. Normally we don't get shot at but 10 to 12 minutes. This time we were there under fire for 37 minutes, and then we took a direct hit with a live shell that did not explode. It went through the left elevator, B-24's twin tail, elevators on one side and elevators on the other side. It took the left elevator out. So the aircraft jerked the controls out of the pilot's hands. The aircraft went straight up, stalled out, and fell over on its back. And we fell some 4,000 feet before the pilot could gain control of it. He didn't have but one elevator instead of two to control the aircraft with. So when he got under, everybody's tied down except the navigator and the bombardier in the front. All the turrets are tied down. They got straps to keep them in. But the guys on the waist gunners, they didn't have anything to hold them down. But the navigator and I just bounced around inside that front cockpit up there, just like ping pong balls, back and forth and up and down. When the pilot finally got control, we were still flying right underneath the bomber stream. And there's, on the B-24, there's a navigation dome right in the center of the aircraft, right in front of the pilot's windscreen. And I looked up and there's those bombardiers up there with those Bombay doors wide open, getting ready to drop their bombs, and we were right under them. And I screamed on that interphone to turn right, we're right under the bomber stream. So we did, we turned right. And we came home. Home. Coming back, there was a P-51 coming back behind us. Guys in the back told us that 51 coming along. And he was lonesome too. Anyway, he got off under our left wing. He says, "Hello there, big brother. This is little brother." So the two pilots had a conversation for about 5 minutes. Then he pushed the throttle forward, and off he went. And there we were lonesome again. And believe me, it's a lonesome feeling. 3 times we came home with one engine out, all alone. And it's really lonesome up there with that thing like that. And then on the 16th of November or the 17th of November, 1944, we were on a mission to bomb the railroad yards in the south part of Munich, flying at 22,000 feet. And over Austria, we began to have engine problems. The #4 engines, outboard on the right side, the prop control malfunction. It would rotate the props back and forth, full pitch, flat pitch, full pitch, flat pitch, every 30 seconds. Well, the pilot couldn't stay in formation. He just pulled out a little on the left side. Pilot pulled out to the left. We could stay with the formation. And then we lost the supercharger on the #3 engine, inboard right side. So we had 2 pulling on the left side and 1 pulling on the other side, back and forth. And we started losing altitude pretty fast. And then we lost the supercharger on the #2 inboard on the left side. And we were going down. That airplane won't fly on 2 engines. Just will not do it. So pilot said, "Get rid of everything." So I dropped the bombs, and we started throwing machine guns and ammunition and everything else out. Now the B-24, excuse me, the flight deck is up 2.5 to 3 feet above the crawl space to get up to the front for the navigator, the bombardier, the nose gunner, and the tail wheel. It's on the right-hand side. And there's a little U-shaped place there that you can step down before you step into the bomb bay or into the flight deck. So I had the bomb bay doors open, and I was tossing ammunition, 50 caliber ammunition in long strings away. And the first thing I knew was the co-pilot stepped on my shoulder, and I watched him disappear into the clouds. And I turned around and looked up. My pilot's getting up out of his seat. I did not have my parachute with me. So I crawled forward, watched my navigator go out the nose wheel door, got my chute, came back and put it on and jumped, and I got out of the airplane before the pilot got there. I was out before he was. I did not shoot that bomb site. I didn't do it. I was in the parachute. It was a chest pack. I had a D-ring to pull on. Pulled it. It didn't open. Both hands on it, pulled it, and it opened. And what the first thing I felt, besides the jar of the chute opening, was that it was a silence. All those 4 engines pounding in my ears all those hours, and all of a sudden I'm out of there, and it's quiet. And I looked down, and there's the ground. The Alps in that area, the Austrian Alps, go up to 10 to 12,000 feet. So that's what the navigator had told the pilot. I was not on intercom, and I didn't hear any of it going on, and that's what I found out. I was in the parachute about 10 seconds before my chute hit a tree, and it caught on one edge, and it flipped upside down, and I hit heads first right down into a big snowdrift, and it knocked me unconscious. How long I was unconscious, I do not know. But anyway, when I got awake again, I was upside down in that snowbank. And it's really, really, really difficult to get yourself upright when you're downright. It took a while to get out of there. But when I finally got upright, I could bang my way out of that snowdrift. And the first thing I heard was my pilot and co-pilot yelling instructions to my navigator up on the other side of the mountain up there. He had hung up in the top of one of those things, so he was 20 feet up in the air. And he finally had to take his knife and cut the cords, so finally it turned loose and he went zip, down to the ground. But there were two young men, little boys, 10, 12 years old, with a rifle down on a trail down the side of the mountainside down there that saw us. So the younger one went to the village or the town, whatever it was there, and gathered a soldier, German soldier, and he came back with a bigger rifle than the kid had and got all four of us together, the officers. And within 20 minutes, they had all of us rounded up. Took us down to the village, and we spent 2 days in the jail there. And they came to get us in an army truck. It had what looked like a water heater on the side of the truck, right by the back of the passenger side, on the running board. And they threw some sticks in there, and after a while, off we went. It was steam-driven vehicle. Took us to Munich, to an airfield there, where a German officer about our age, 20, 22, something like that, could speak some English, and talked for a while, and he asked us if we were hungry. Well, we were. We hadn't eaten in over 2 days. So he would you like some Kartoffel soup? Yeah, well, what's Kartoffel soup? Well, we found out it was potato. So it was real good. From there, he said they were going to win the war. He asked how long we thought the war would last. Told him 6 months, because the Allies were really doing what they were supposed to be doing. He says, but we've got a secret weapon. Well, evidently they were working on the atomic bomb just like we were. So put us on a truck and took us to the railroad station and got us on a train and took us to Frankfurt, where's the interrogation center for that part of the country. And they double-timed us. They were at least, well, there were 2 crews of us. That made about 20. And through Frankfurt, the streets were clean, but there was nothing but rubble on the sides. And Germans didn't like us. They threw bricks at us. But the guards really tried to stop them from doing that. Took us to the office there and put us in there and gave us a sheet and asked all kind of questions. Of course, what we were instructed, name, rank, and serial number, nothing else. So they put me in solitary confinement in a row of what evidently was solitary confinement. And I was there some 14 days, and they fed us once a day, 1 small cup of soup and 2 very thin slices of rye bread. And it was pushed through a doggy door on a little tray. And that's all we had. And I attempted to bang on the walls on both sides, And I never got any response whatsoever of anybody else. And the room was maybe 6 feet wide, maybe 7 feet wide, and the ceiling was about 10 feet or 12 feet, something like that. It had one window way up top. And it was heated with an electric heater in the wall. And it had a bunk. It had 3 slats in the bunk and 1 straw tick. And we couldn't sleep on 3 slats, so I just took the slats out and put the straw tick on the floor. But they would turn the heat on at daylight sometime, and I don't know what time it was, of course. But anyway, they turned the heat on until it got so hot that I was sweating. And then somebody outside would come in and open that window and they would turn the heat off. So it was sweat or freezing, or sweat or freezing cold all the time. After 14 days, they took me up to see the major. Can't remember the man's name, and I thought I'd never forget it. But anyway, first thing he said, "Here, Luke, have a cigarette." And he spoke perfect English, not American English. English. He'd gone to school in England. And he interviewed me and talked with me a while. He knew everything about my mission, what our altitudes were. They knew that already. What bombs we were carrying, how many we were carrying, 500 pounders, 12 of them. The only thing he didn't know was what the fuses were in the bombs. Each bomb had a tail fuse and a nose fuse. Of course, I knew what they were, but I didn't tell him. But anyway, then after the interview, well, during the interview, he told me, "You went to high school at Messick High School in Memphis, Tennessee. You graduated June of 1942. He knew everything about me. And then he asked me, "How's Ed?" Well, I said, "Ed who?" Well, he said, "Ed Crump." Well, Ed Crump was a political boss to the city. He was a mayor a couple of times and in the House of Representatives a couple of times. The man knew everything about me because everything that he told me had been in the papers, and they had people here in the States that were collecting all this information and sending it back to Germany. Well, they don't have to do that anymore. Electronics has got it all right now. They just push a button and they get anything they want to know. I weighed 135 pounds as my fighting weight in a B-24. And when I was liberated, I weighed 98 pounds.
And for those who don't know, especially people growing up today, can you talk about hunger and the pain that comes with actual hunger?
I can't describe it. Excuse me. No way I can describe it. The stomach shrinks up, and it just, sorry.
No, you've nothing to be sorry about.